welcome to the latest episode of Facts Not Included. I'm your host, Peter Capranas, and today's another Tangent Friday episode. So, what does that mean exactly? Well, as you know, as you should know, you've been listening to this podcast for how long? Just kidding. You're probably a new listener. I'm not too sure about that. But if you are a new listener, a Tangent Friday is a bit of a left turn kind of thing. It's a tangent, look up the meaning of the word tangent. It is something we don't ordinarily do, even though it comes out every Friday, but we don't normally talk about the things we might on a Monday movie review, which is a movie. We tend to just talk about anything else but a specific movie on Tangent Fridays. That's kind of where the idea stemmed from. And so we could talk about movies, talk about music, talk about books, talk about entertainment as a whole, but we don't sit down and review a movie, because that's what Facts Not Included was founded on, movie reviews. And so that's not what a Tangent Friday episode is going to be about. It's going to be about anything else, which is what I just said. Anyway, that being said, it's 2019, so what does that mean? Well, that means there's a lot of movies coming out this year. A lot. Because it's the new year, there's always new movies. There's always a lot of them. I don't know what I'm saying. But anyway, there's quite a number of them that I'm really excited about. 2 weeks ago, we did a top 10 of 2018 movies I felt that were the best of 2018, even though I did have a list of movies I wish I did see. Remember, I didn't get to see every single fascinating movie of 2018. Doesn't mean it was a blockbuster or anything, but it's just, movies that might have caught my eye or that did catch everyone else's eye. I might have missed a few of them. And so I do have an honorable... I cannot talk. I'm too excited. 2018 is not here. 2019 is here. What am I doing? I have no idea. But anyway, I do have an honorable mentions list, which I put down about, 8 or something of movies on that list that don't make my most anticipated list in my top 10, but might have made my top 20. But I don't want to do a top 20 per se, even though I kind of am here. But the honorable mentions aren't ranked. They aren't ranked. I'm just going to name them, but they're not going to be like number 18 to 11 or whatever. It's going to be just a random uncategorized list. With that being said, our top 10, my top 10 is, of course, going to be listed from 10 to 1. So when we get to that, we'll get to it. With that being said, I keep saying that. I've said that at least twice by now, right? With that being said, yes, I will begin to talk about my honorable mentions. 2019, let's just say, usually in January, there's not too many exciting movies in January. There is one that may or may not have made my top 10. I'll get to that one in a second. But you know which one I'm talking about probably already. January tends to be a slow month. September tends to also be a slow month. I don't know exactly when these movies are coming out specifically, so please, I do apologize. I probably should have looked that up before clicking the record button here. And maybe I'll click the pause button here to get the lists, get the dates, but you'll only find out if you continue to listen to this episode. So let's begin with my honorable mentions of 2019. So, I know, you're probably, going to be upset with me with a couple of my movies here, but again, I think once you understand who I am as a person, you'll understand my top 10 most anticipated. But, yeah, my honorable mentions. Okay, so the first one was great. I really enjoyed it. It was a nice installation into the world of Spider-Man. But Spider-Man Far From Home just doesn't really make my top 10 of most anticipated of 2019. It's going to be coming out on July 5th, 2019. I really look forward to it, and I expect it to be phenomenal. But it just doesn't crack my cut. Aladdin, coming out on May 24th this year, has been a movie that I've kind of been a bit confused about. I know there's going to be some sort of... it's not going to be like Mulan, which has apparently come out in, I think, 2020, 2021, but it's not going to be like Mulan where they're taking the music out. Aladdin seems to be keeping it in, but I'm a bit confused because they've casted everyone, but they've yet to leave. They left out Iago and I forget the monkey's name. So I'm confused if the monkey is going to be and Iago is going to be just they're just going to be animals, or they're not going to be talking, or if there's going to be some sort of maybe Gilbert Gottfried comes back and plays the bird. So I'm not too sure about that. I am pretty excited for this. I'm not too excited about who's directing the movie. Guy Ritchie, not someone I'm too crazy about, but maybe he knocks it out of the park here. I don't know. Not even on my honorable mentions is Dumbo. Doesn't even belong in my honorable mentions. I am not looking forward to Dumbo. Only reason? Come on, Tim Burton has not cracked it out of the park at all in the last decade. So, not even on my honorable mentions. Number 3, I guess, it's again not quite ranked yet because we're in the honorable mentions, but Lego Movie 2, the second part, coming out very soon actually, in less than a month. February 8th is when it's dropping. Love the first one. Really, really did. It's probably the best animated movie. It definitely was the best animated movie of that year. It was like 2014 or something. It didn't even get nominated at the Oscars for reasons no one can understand why. It's just like if this year the Oscars leave out Black Panther, that's gonna like fucking make people pissed. It's just like, how do you leave out Lego Movie in a year that there was like beyond subpar animated films? Like, I don't know who won that year, but none of them should have won. It should have been the Lego Movie. And I think it got a nomination for Best Original Song for Everything is Awesome, but like, okay, where's the nom for... the thing is, like, it didn't even have to win Best Animated Movie, even though it was the best animated film that year, I think. But it didn't even get a nomination. And that's what blew people's minds. I do expect the second one to be pretty good. Maybe not at the same caliber as the first one, but I think it's going to be pretty awesome. Another movie, I know this one's going to be weird because it's coming out in a week. Actually, when this episode drops, it comes out the day that this episode drops. It's going to be Glass. Glass is a movie that a lot of people have been excited for. The sequel to Unbreakable and Split. 2 movies that are probably considered M. Night Shyamalan's greatest shining achievements. And it's understandable as to why, but Glass just didn't crack it for me. Just didn't reach my top 10. I'm really excited about it, which is why it's in my honorable mentions, but it was not a movie that hit my list. Now, am I going to see it? Of course. Are we going to do a review on it? Pretty sure we are. Am I going to rewatch Unbreakable and Split? Yeah. Technically, I've never seen Split, so like, I'm going to watch it for the first time. But anyway, Glass. That should be on everybody's radar. It's on mine, but it's, again, not in my top 10. Another movie that I'm pretty doped. Doped? What? Ugh, Peter, get it together, man. Another movie I'm pretty excited about, but again, doesn't hit my list, is a movie that like a lot of people forgot was even coming. Like they mentioned it a few times on like maybe like on a Collider or something that it was coming, but no one took it seriously because like, how are you gonna make a Pokemon movie in live action? How's that gonna work? Detective Pikachu. It's a movie that some of my friends are upset that Ryan Reynolds is voicing Pikachu because they're like, why isn't he just going Pika Pika? But they joke about it in the movie, so like I don't know why they're upset about it. But yeah, Detective Pikachu. Yeah, I cannot talk. Detective Pikachu, Ryan Reynolds. Like it's a weird mix. It's a weird pairing. Like no one probably would have saw that coming 5 years ago or whatever. I don't know how that happened. I guess because he's so phenomenal as Deadpool. But like that's even the weirder part is like how do you get Deadpool, who's a maniacal maniac? How do you get him, the guy that plays him, to play Pikachu? It's weird. I don't know. And plus, I'm not the biggest Pokemon fan, so I don't remember. But I always thought Pikachu was a girl. But it's always been voiced by a female, but it's a boy. It's interesting. Another movie dropping April 12th, 2019. Hellboy. Hellboy number 3, technically, but it's not. It's a reboot of the franchise. Not the biggest Hellboy fan. I can't say I've ever even watched the movies. Isn't that weird? I can't even say I've even watched a Hellboy movie. I am excited for it because I want to get involved in the franchise. Um, I think I saw the first. I'm pretty sure I've seen the first one. I don't know, but he's such a badass character. He's such a dope looking mofo. That I wanna invest in Hellboy. So, Hellboy number 3 again. It's a reboot, so it's not quite number 3. I mean, it's not number 3 at all. But anyway, Hellboy the reboot coming out April 12th. Now, this next movie on my honorable mentions, I didn't even think was happening. I totally forgot. And then I read an article that Jim Carrey joined the cast as was Dr. Eggman. Is that what he's called again? I forget. But Sonic the Hedgehog, the movie, is coming out November 8th. What? How is this going to work? Is it going now? They could do it in a number of ways. One, you could have it all animated. But we know they're not going to do that. You could do it 2. He's completely animated, and all his friends like Knuckles and Tails and all that could be animated, but they're in live action. Or 3, they could do it in the most terrifying way possible, and this just came into my head, so please bear with me. They could do it in such a way that the face is mocapped, and so you kind of get a glimpse of the actor behind in Sonic's face. And Tails and Knuckles and all that's their faces. That's gonna look terrifying, but it's also animated, but mocapped, and then you have everybody live action behind them. Please don't do it the third way, guys. I hope you realize that by now. Please don't. And the other question is, do you make him look like Pikachu does? Like Pikachu looks like Pikachu, but not quite, because it's like it has fur. It's 3D. It's not like in the cartoons where Pikachu is very matte looking, very very flat. And so, is that what you do with Sonic? I don't know how they're going to do that. That's going to be interesting. Seeing him furry and blue, as compared to like he has skinny arms, and he's flat. Like I don't know how they're going to do that. A bit concerning for me. I'm a bit nauseous about thinking about it because I don't know. I don't want a hedgehog, rat looking thing on my screen. I want to see Sonic. Don't mess it up, guys, please. But anyway, that's partially why it's not in my top 10 and most anticipated movies of 2019. But now, drum roll, please. We have reached the top 10 most anticipated films for Peter of 2019. Number 10. Now, this is a movie that before I even knew what it was about, I was excited about because it was a biopic in a sense, but again, that's what we thought, about Elton John. And it's called Rocket Man. Now, apparently, it is not quite a biopic, but more of a fantasy. I don't know, I forget how they're labeling it, but it's kind of like a fantasy or a fantasized telling of his life. And you can see that in the trailers. There's moments he's playing the piano and he's floating up in the sky, and there's a lot of people dancing at random moments, the La La Land-esque type of stuff going on. If you know me, you know I'm a fan of Elton John, so you know I'm pretty pumped for this, which is why it's at my number 10. My number 9 is a movie that in I want to say it was 2017. Was it 2017? Or am I dumb and it was 2016? 2017. I'm pretty sure it was 2017. Yes, 2017. It was a movie people were getting excited for. It was another adaptation of this author's work. Not every adaptation of this man's work has hit it out of the park, so a lot of people were, maybe like people like me were a bit apprehensive at first. Is it going to be any good? But then we were all blown away by what they did. And of course I'm talking about It. Chapter 2, coming out September 6th. It Chapter 2 is I think if it could be anywhere near the first one, it's gonna blow me away. If it's somehow better than the first one, hats to you guys, because I would not expect you to do that. And I think the reason the first one, It Chapter 1, was so good was because you had the cast of those boys. You casted those boys so perfectly, to the point they were each their own individual. In a movie like this, when you have a large cast, they tend to sometimes meld with each other. And I'm sure there was moments like that, I'm sure. And then they're boys at the same age, so it's going to happen. But they were all their own individual selves, and um, their stories were compelling enough. Their horrors were, their nightmares were strong enough for me to. The storytelling was just great, great casting. Um, and so if they're going to do that with the people that they chose for this movie, and I forget who was casted, but it's an interesting group of people that they casted, and I think Bill Hader's in here. Don't ask me to pick the name of the rest of the people. I have no idea. I do not remember, and that's what makes me even more excited, because I'm going to stay away. I think I'm going to try. I'm going to try my best to stay away from all publicity and news regarding It Chapter 2. I'm going to try my best. Number 8, another horror movie. You know I love my horror. This one is another psychological fucking thriller, it seems, by the amazing Jordan Peele. It is called Us, dropping on March 22nd, 2019. Just in case I didn't say it, I can't remember if I did. This is my number 8. I got to see the trailer for the first time when I saw Vice. And, whoa, weird. I don't know if it's... I feel like it's a story we might have seen already, but I'm not sure. The idea of like seeing yourselves across the street, that whole idea. But maybe he's going to do it in a different way, in a compelling way. I feel like it was a Twilight Zone episode. I might be mistaken. I'm not sure. I'm ready for this movie, only because I'm not really ready for this movie. If he's going to scare me, like he kind of freaked us out with Get Out in an unexpected way, I'm ready but not ready. You know? I love his style of horror. It's I don't know how to put it, but he knows what he's doing, I think. And it's smart, and it tells a story about us as a community, and hence I think not only why it's called Us, because it's about the family, but I think it's going to be a little bit of a glimpse into our psyche as Americans. I mean, it's kind of what Get Out was trying to tell us, a story, trying to tell us to look at ourselves in that way, in that regard. So I think he's going to do the same with this movie. Number 7 is a DC movie. I know, Peter, you don't like DC movies that much. That's not true. You know how much I like Suicide Squad, or at least how much I enjoyed it, and how much I like the cut to Batman versus Superman, the extended cut or whatever. But yes, I haven't, and how I adore Man of Steel. I think it's one of the greatest comic book movies ever. I just don't like Aquaman. That's all. Like, I'm not shitting on, and I enjoyed Wonder Woman. So, like, you know, hey, don't shit on me. The rest of the world doesn't seem to like DC, okay? But Shazam, I think I'm gonna like more than any of the movies. I only say that because it's not taking itself seriously, but we are aware of that going in. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, at least I don't find out when I'm sitting down that the movie didn't care. I mean, not that it didn't care, but it's not taking itself seriously. It might care. It'll care. But it's not taking itself too seriously. And the fact that I'm getting that already from the trailers makes me feel settled and understand, and makes me understand what to expect. Hey, don't expect this to be the greatest thing in the world. That's not what we were aiming for. Just shut up and enjoy the film. Oh, okay, I'll do that. You know what I'm saying? That's why I feel like this movie is going to be really fun for me. I think I'm going to really like it. So that's my number 7, and that's coming out April 5th. Not sure if I said that. Next movie, number 6 in my top 10 most anticipated films of 2019. you guys know, if you know this already, now you know. My favorite animated movie of all time is possibly Lion King. They're making another one. It's a remake, of course. It's a live action remake or a mocap remake, whatever. Coming out July 19th is The Lion King. Of course, we have a new cast. You can't have everybody return. But we get the great James Earl Jones returning as Mufasa. I'm really excited about that. The cool thing and the most exciting thing about this film is that we got the new cast. This new cast is phenomenal. You got Beyonce, you got Seth Rogen, so on and so forth. Again, not going to go through names. I don't have the list in front of me right now. But it's going to be pretty good, pretty exciting. I'm pretty pumped. Lion King. If Disney executes, because again, same director. You got Jon Favreau, whatever. I apologize. Behind the helm here, he's directing this movie. If he knocks it out the park like he did with Lion King, what he did with Jungle Book, Lion King is going to be I'm calling it right here. Might be my favorite movie of 2019 if he knocks it out the park the way he did with the Jungle Book. I mark my words. I think so. Now we're into the top 5. Top 5. I had a hard time with my top 5, as most people tend to with their top 5. What does that mean exactly? Because you don't know where exactly to put them. Maybe your number 1 is your number 1, and that doesn't really tend to move. But your 2 through 5 tend to maybe fluctuate a bit. Tends to be a little harder to put a top 5 together. So, my number 5, coming out on July 26th, is a Quentin Tarantino movie called Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Or as I have it written here, Once Upon a Hollywood. So I'm not too sure who's correct here. I'm pretty sure Google's not lying to me. But I don't know. But Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I think it's called, is a movie that I'm still confused about. I don't know what it's about. All I know is that Charles Manson's somehow involved in this movie. Like someone's playing him. Is it? I don't know what the movie's about. I really don't know. I have no idea. Actually, I'm gonna look it up while I'm talking to you. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. In 1969, Los Angeles, a former Western star and his longtime stunt double struggled to find success in Hollywood that they don't recognize anymore. Interesting. I would not have thought of that being... Okay, so Wikipedia has it as an upcoming mystery crime film centered on the Manson family murders. Okay. The 9th film written and directed by Quentin Tarantino. Okay. But look at the cast. You have Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie, and a bunch of other big name people in this movie. I'm pretty excited. You have Al Pacino's in here, Spencer Garrett, Dakota Fanning, Emile Hirsch, Luke Perry, Damian Lewis as Steve McQueen. I mean, look at the names in this. It's pretty exciting, guys. Pretty exciting. And come on, it's Quentin Tarantino, so we know it's going to be about 6 hours long. There's going to be about 6 intermissions, one for every hour. Now, seriously, all jokes aside, it might be a really long movie. Because it's Quentin. No surprise there. Anyway, my number 4. And I know a lot of people have this at their number 1, so I do apologize. But it is in my list. And my number 4, coming out very, very soon, March 8th, is a film that no one probably ever thought was going to get made, because who knew that we would be delving into so many amazing comic book characters. Captain Marvel, coming out March 8th. The woman that is going to save the Avengers. Pretty sure she's going to do that in Avengers Endgame, but we'll get to that very shortly. But anyway, Captain Marvel, a film that's going to be set in 1999, a movie that is going to basically set the wave of recruiting Avengers, you know. What's going to happen? How are they going to explain that she's not a part of the Avengers and whatnot? It's going to be pretty simple. She has to go back to her home planet or whatever and save the galaxy or whatever. We have a young Nick Fury, young Agent Coulson. You know, how are they going to explain that Blockbuster was a thing? You know? And so, Captain Marvel, for me, was a movie I never thought I was going to expect to see. But the fact that we're getting it, just like Black Panther, was calling it for years. Let's make a Black Panther movie. So many people were saying they'll never make one. They'll never do it. And then they finally announced years ago that they were, and then they finally made it. Same thing kind of with Captain Marvel. Never expect to see something, and then you do. It's kind of fascinating that we're at this point, where we're seeing so many cool characters, man, getting their own films. So Captain Marvel, there you go, number 4. Number 3 is where we're at right now. And it's a 4th installment in a franchise, and you might know exactly the movie I'm talking about. Toy Story 4 is my number 3. Why? Because it's freaking Toy Story, man. And the reason I said Lion King is probably my favorite animated movie and not definitively my favorite animated movie, because it's kind of tied for first with the Toy Story 1 or 2. No, it's 1. Toy Story for me, hands down, probably the best trilogy when it comes to animated movies. Now that there's going to be a 4th installment, we're going to have to be talking about, what do they call 4 movies? Quadrants? No, what do they call those? Quadrilogies? Quadrilogies? No, I'm just kidding. I don't know what they call them, but it's not that. Toy Story 4. What could you do now? What are you going to do now? The girl at the end of Toy Story 3, I don't know her name, this little girl gets the toys. Where do we go from here? Does Andy get them back? Is Andy a cokehead? Is he a crack addict? Is he selling bonds on is he working for Wall Street? Is he a baseball star? Like what the hell? What story are we telling in this movie? What's Woody's story here? What's Buzz's story? What is Rex doing? What's Mr. Potato Head doing? First of all, who's going to be voicing Mr. Potato Head? Don Rickles is dead, or did they get all of his? Did they get all of his voice done way before he passed away? Because I think he's been done. He's been dead for about, I think, 2 years now. Did they get him to record his voice? I really hope so. So, anyway. Sorry, I just had a moment there about Don Rickles. So I'm really excited about this. Tom Hanks, Tim Allen, all those people are returning. Joan Cusack, of course, returning. But I'm just a bit concerned about the story here. I've not read if there's a synopsis out there, and if there is, I haven't read it. I'm very interested about what the story's going to be about. And who's this new spoon guy? Is he even important? Is he not important? Is Loxo a thing? Like, come on, guys, tell us already. I'm confused. All right, so now we're up to our last 2. My number 2. Now, you probably already guessed. It's either going to be... Okay, my mistake is to give away my number 1. My number 2. Avengers Endgame. Coming out April 26th, 2019. Now, why is that at my number 2 and not my number 1? Well, because we're going to get to my number 1 very soon. But it deserves number 2 status. For me, at least, because of my number 1. But it's number 2 for several reasons. 1, how are you going to be any better than Avengers Infinity War? Let's be honest. How are you going to be any better than that one? Watch it be like a million times better. But how are you going to be any better than Infinity War? Probably one of the best ensemble movies ever put together. That movie blew people's minds. If Endgame does that, I mean, Marvel, you have all my money. I will go see this movie as often as possible. I actually only got to see Avengers Infinity War once in the theaters, and I regret it till this day. Okay? I had to wait till like October to see it again. Whenever the Blu-ray came out. I was not a happy camper. Really wanted to see that movie over and over again. Just never got to go back. So Avengers Endgame, it's going to tell the story of what maybe, possibly, how we're getting everybody back. We know many people are going to be alive still, even though they've been dusted. So there's that. Like, there's the obvious that a lot of characters are coming back. Or is that not the case? are a lot not coming back. We don't know, but we're pretty sure that Ant-Man has to do with something about this, the quantum realm, and all these fascinating things. Captain Marvel's going to have a huge role here. And we do know that Iron Man's going to be driving an Audi. Because that was apparently spoiled. Apparently that was a spoiler. It's like, if you guys didn't know he was going to be coming back to Earth at some point, you're a bunch of idiots. Like, not yet. He's not going to die in the first 10 minutes of the movie. If anything, he's going to die later. But, like, he's going to come back to Earth at least. Let him die on Earth, you know. So that's my number 2. And the number 1 for Peter, at least for me. The number 1 most anticipated film of 2019. And you must have guessed this a mile away. Come on. You know how much I love Star Wars. Star Wars Episode 9. Possibly the last Star Wars episodic movie we are going to see for the next few years. Because they have not announced that they're going to do 10, 11, and 12 anytime soon. I really hope they do not do 10, 11, 12 anytime soon. Wait it out, guys. Wait a little bit. Wait about 5 years. 4 or 5 years or whatever. If you're going to do other Star Wars movies, do anthology movies, Star Wars stories. Do those movies. But don't do any episodic stuff yet, because let this episode 9 simmer for us for a bit. We haven't even seen it yet, but I'm sure it's going to be crazy. And a lot of people, they were a bit angry at Last Jedi. I wasn't. I enjoyed what they did. Yes, there are moments in that film that don't quite work for people. And there are moments, yes, even for me, that don't quite work 100%. But they're not the moments that take away from the movie itself. Luke's story is phenomenal in this movie. The thing that doesn't quite work for me is that weird Mary Poppins shit they did with Leia. The casino stuff, not the worst stuff I've ever seen. The idea that there's a constant ship battle about fuel, it's a bit weird. It's a bit Battlestar Galactica-y. I get that. But it's not terrible. It's not terrible ideas they put there. It could be better, of course, because it's a Star Wars episodic film. Maybe, I guess. But the main points of this film, killing Snoke, making Luke just a depressed motherfucker and dying, sacrificing himself for the greater good of the galaxy. That all works in this movie. Don't get that wrong. That works in The Last Jedi. The main points, the tension between Rey and Kylo works. The fact that now he is the supreme leader of the galaxy, of the First Order, works. Rey is now going to be possibly training a future generation of Jedi. That works. So don't get me wrong there. That is why I'm excited for Episode 9. Yes, when they announced that J.J. Abrams was going to be directing Episode 9, I wasn't the happiest person. If anything, I was pretty upset. But I understand why. Lucasfilm was aware that maybe not everyone would love The Last Jedi. And so I get it. I get it. But at the same time, do not disappoint me, JJ. But seriously, please don't disappoint us. And also, don't retcon stuff that Ryan did. Mr. Johnson did a good enough job, if anything, a better job than you did with The Force Awakens. Do not retcon anything that he did in that movie. The whole idea with Rey's parents was perfectly fine. She does not need to be anyone from anywhere. Let her be a nobody for once. Let someone in this franchise, for God's sake, be a nobody. Seriously. But I could go on about this for hours. And that's an episode for another day, and I'm pretty sure we'll get into that very soon. But yeah, that's been my top 10 most anticipated films of 2019. I hope you enjoyed what you've been hearing. We have been Facts Not Included. I hope you listened to all of our past Tangent Fridays and all of our past reviews. They're kind of a lot of fun. looking forward to bringing some new stuff in the new year. But of course, don't forget about some of our previous episodes. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, whatever it is that you have to do to get notified about episodes and the things that we are sharing out there in our social media. Remember, we are on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Podbean, Spotify, iTunes, Podcast Addict, and wherever else you get your podcast. But again, very important, we are always sharing things on Twitter and Facebook. It's extremely important. Also, there's an Instagram account that's out there. We're creating an Instagram. If at this point it might be a thing already, I'm not even sure. But it has been created, but I'm not sure if we've gone really quote unquote live with it. But yeah, check us out on Instagram at Facts Not Included. Just please make sure that you are being engaged with all the things we're doing here at Facts Not Included. It's very important because we want this to be a community of fans and film lovers. And that's what it's all about here. Okay? Hope you guys enjoyed that. I've been Peter Cabranes. I hope I can see you guys real soon. Enjoy your week.